All right, let's take you back to one of our headline stories now. Basic Education spokesperson Elijah Mhlanga has eventually apologized following a backlash on Twitter for posts he made which he says were meant to promote the department's reading campaign. Now, images in the tweets were of half-naked women reading books, some sitting with their partners, and some Twitter users felt the tweets objectified women. Now, Mhlanga eventually apologized. He said he'd posted similar pictures before without a backlash, and instead those posts had promoted discourse on reading. Well, let's speak to Equal Education now. The General Secretary, Noncedo Madubedube, joins us via our Skype line. Thanks very much for your time this morning. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I don't understand how we can still be explaining how these tweets are problematic. What's your take on seeing them on Twitter for the first time?
I really thought his account was hacked. I thought his account was hacked. And when he responded he started responding to people's comments, and he was like, no, this is me. And he was getting so much affirmation as well from other men in and around the country for these great tweets and these great images. I was taken aback. I didn't know if in my personal capacity I was really sort of engage him, because he obviously says nothing wrong. And I think it's worrying that a spokesperson and a senior government official, someone that represents as a mouthpiece for the ministry, can be so careless and tone deaf and blind to what these tweets sort of resemble. And the thing is, as the tweets continue, the men that are in these pictures are fully clothed. And so that's why I don't understand how he doesn't see this as a problem. And something I've been analyzing, we've been talking about internally at EE, is how a lot of people, in trying to show him what's wrong with these tweets, are asking him questions around if this was your sister or your mother, you know. And it's just sad that because of the patriarchal societies we live in, you have to adapt that kind of narrative, as opposed to just going, it's someone's body, they're human, they're telling to use it in their own way, does not belong to you, isn't good enough for men to be able to see how these things can objectify a woman. You have to center someone else that's close to him in order for him to see the violation. But the positive thing is that I've just read Minister Angie Motsega's sort of statement condemning the entire thing, and also saying to South Africans that, look, she's encouraging that disciplinary processes and procedures do take place. And I hope that the department, or the ministry in particular, is going to publicly share with us what those sort of reparations or remedies look like, because I think Elijah must go for sensitivity training.
Yeah, absolutely. And the problem with it, I mean, he's now issued a statement apologizing, but it must have been a statement that he was forced to issue. There were several moments on Twitter where he was advised to take down the images, where people were appealing to him that this was not part of just a reading campaign for his department. How could this promote reading, as he claims it has done in the past? So, as you say, completely tone deaf. He's now been forced to apologize. But what are we looking for in terms of disciplinary action? You've talked about sensitivity training.
So EE, for example, we put up a reading list for him, and we think all men, because the patriarchal society that we live in sort of limits and hurts everyone, man and woman. And if we're looking for like an emancipation that's holistic in the future, we need everyone to engage these concepts. So I think he must read a little bit more. I don't know what other procedures or processes that the DBE follows, but I think they do need to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and not from him or anyone else. And as a matter of fact, sure, maybe they need to take the whole ministry into something, you know. We could come in, we've got some material around intersectionality and feminist rhetoric, and we understand education in the way that we work as a liberation tool in itself. And so these kinds of things we'd be able to speak to. You know, we could do our part to assist the DBE and work together nicely for a change.
Well, if the Department of Basic Education is listening, that sounds like a fantastic idea. Thanks very much for that. Equal Education's General Secretary, Noncedo Madubedube, joining us there via our Skype line.